Lou Thesz successfully defended his World Heavyweight Championship.
Rogers strut. Kowalski's got him right where he wants him.
Dory Funk Jr. wanting that World Heavyweight Championship.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Simon Felder's Dusty Rhodes has just become the World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion.
Presenting the greatest organization in wrestling history.
We always deliver on our promises at the National Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah, but pretty hard, and look at what are you going to work now? Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again. We're back after a pretty good show. Feedback was, it was awesome. Was it as good as some of our other shows? Probably not. If we go in our show history here, we can see that, yeah, it was a little bit of an underwhelming show in terms of what we're used to here with 58s, 60s, which is really what we're shooting for. We're shooting for that 60. That is the goal, and we haven't quite hit there yet since Codyverse. Even Codyverse is a little bit lower, but that is certainly sort of our objective. Can we get there? I think so. Right now, we're still tiny. We are on the cusp of getting to small. 34 is where we're at right now. We need 35 popularity in our home region of Southeast in order to get to a small size. That should hopefully get us into a better standing in our broadcasting, maybe get us a better spot for our TV shows, whole host of things that are going to happen once we get to small. That's sort of the hope right now. I'm still working on maybe adding extra broadcasters. A lot of your feedback in the comments about whether you would be interested in a broadcaster add-on was pretty positive. So I'm starting to work on that. I don't want to add any until I test them out. So keep it in the back burner. But I am starting to work on it. And I'm probably looking at, I think right now I'm looking at about maybe 15 new broadcasters. A lot of them are mostly subscription services that aren't really being utilized in the game. So examples would be like Pluto TV, which, while it doesn't have any original wrestling content, I could 100% see with their previous efforts of having exclusive wrestling channels on there, them kind of moving to maybe picking up a wrestling promotion at some point. So I'm adding them in and testing things out to see. I've got some good feedback from some community members that are well versed in modding on how to kind of best sort that. So I'm kind of working on testing it out. And then once it's ready, I will probably upload a link probably to our Discord. So if you're not a member of the Discord, there is a link in the description. Feel free to join the group. And then when it is available, it'll be available in the Discord probably in like a month or so, I would say. Anyways, that out of the way, let's go ahead and let's look at this tournament. This is what I want to look at. We are over halfway through the Strongbow Memorial Tournament to determine our television champion. Right now, we got strong contenders Jacob Fatu, Ricky Starks, Black Taurus, all with 4 points. In terms of who they need to face, it looks like Black Taurus still has not faced Chris Adonis, Homicide, or Ricky Starks, as well as has not faced Jacob Fatu. And then Jacob Fatu has not faced Nick Aldis, Colby Carino, Black Taurus, obviously, or Dave Boy Smith. Ricky Starks has not faced Chris Adonis, has not yet faced Nick Aldis, has not yet faced Joe Henning, Colby Carino, or Black Taurus. So some interesting elements there. There definitely are front runners, but in the wings, Nick Aldis really only one win away from kind of tying with everybody here. Colby Carino, not doing bad, actually, is kind of he's got some stiff competition at this point, but it's possible that he could eke out of it. Same thing with Lance Archer. Same thing with David Boy Smith Jr. Homicide is all but eliminated at this point. He's at best going to tie. Henning, theoretically, actually, if he has a run in a row, could stay in this tournament. And Chris Adonis is looking very likely eliminated. Just does not have the numbers at this point. So right now, front runners Ricky Starks, Jake Fatu, Black Taurus, and then dark horse candidates are actually still Dave Boy Smith Jr., Lance Archer, Colby Carino, and Nick Aldis. And a real dark horse would be Joe Henning, who has the ability, if everything goes bad for everybody else, and everything goes well for him, which, he is part of a new stable. So who knows how that may shake out. So that is what we are looking at here. Billington is leaving us. We do need some more teams potentially. Obviously, we have the new Horsemen being built here. And we were kind of okay. Dynamic Duo is about to leave. They've not done very well for us here at all. So definitely looking for teams that are potentially good grabs for us. Let's look at creative real quick. We haven't done this in a bit. Franchise players, Bobby Roode, who we've gotten, hasn't even shown up yet, but certainly I think is going to be a big player in our NWA. Ricky Starks, especially if he wins the tournament, is going to be a big deal for us. Colby Carino, next big thing. And that's why I said that don't discount him in this tournament, because maybe a television championship is what he needs to propel him from here to here, right? Hot prospects, again, Colby Carino, Kerry Morton, believe it or not, as a younger member, has a lot of potential for us. Don't know if that's necessarily true about Mark Pillington, but maybe Tim Storm. Talking to talk, no surprises there. Showstoppers, don't think there's any surprises there. Of course, our hot makes sense. Tim Storm Jr. after a good win. We're going to continue to build him up. Some people talked about maybe putting him on an excursion. I want to keep Tim Storm Jr. in-house because our plan is to build him into a talent. Allison Kay, Nick Aldis, Cody Rhodes, all makes sense. Jacob Fatu, obviously, as well. Who's not? Who's suffering here? Yeah, all that makes sense. And then, who are our hidden gems? Anybody in here that we might want to grab at some point? Nobody that I really know. So there's definitely people we could look at some point and kind of see who they are and where they sit. Darius Lockhart here, who name sounds familiar. I feel like I've seen him in something at some point. But has a 21 in Southeast, so would be a decent mid-carder. Has an okay technical, but kind of underwhelming everything else. Really good charisma and microphone work. So certainly a person that may have potential. We'll go ahead and shortlist them. Just as if in case we ever want to grow the roster a little bit. Bradley Prescott here with 5 years experience has probably not really anything that we're looking for us right now. Brian Keith, similarly looking a little all over the place with our scouting level at this point, and not really a lot of momentum here. I don't think that's a winner here for us. Stallion Rogers here, who's been in a lot of stuff, doesn't really have a lot here that I'm looking at that looks particularly compelling, but he does have a decent amount of popularity. I will shortlist them just in case, but Similarly, Cameron Cole here, though, has really good flashiness and psychology, and some really high, at least charisma for sure, where he's somewhere between 42 and 87. Is certainly not bad. Not a lot of popularity in our region, though. So, I don't know. But Darius might be a winner to grab at some point. So I'm going to keep him on a short list. I think that might be a potential candidate to bring into the roster at some point. I think that might make a lot of sense. All right. let's go ahead and let's get on to the next show. All right, we are back. Some news in the world here. Looks like Soraya Knight, which is Soraya's mom, has hung up her boots and has started a training school called House of Soraya, which is interesting. In addition, it looks like we have not much going on. Matt Reichholt's working on some recovery work. CJ Perry is retiring. Ruby Reyes is retiring. So, some stuff going on here. Obviously, Mark Billington moving away from us in the NWA. Pillman Jr. wants, this was just rehiring him because he was on his last month. So we went ahead and did that. Mark Billington is gone from the NWA. The other Billington on here still, I don't even remember his name. Thomas. You have 1 day contract. If I release you, will you be upset? No. Okay. There we go. Billingtons are gone. That is done. Bobby Roode's going to be available to work in 1 week. Cardona, I think, is still injured. We hired him at the beginning, and we still... 26 days. He has a potential for a surgery, so we might go ahead and do that. Now available in 6 days. Matthias Breeze going to be back soon after that concussion. So we're going to have some new faces. We still have Juice Robinson available, which we have not used yet. Allison Lay, our referee, annoyed for some reason. Annoyed at poor new gimmick as your referee. I don't know what to tell you. Better referee. How about that? How about you become a better ref? And then we'll change your gimmick and hopefully you'll become less upset. I don't know what to tell you. In terms of that, otherwise, we still have this issue with Nick Aldis being managed by Camille, and I think we're just going to remove Camille from managing him for now. Nick Aldis is a working babyface. I'm probably going to make him heel at some point, but we're constantly getting a penalty for Camille and him, and we could probably drop Camille's face turn. I don't think we need to do it. That'll be fine. Okay, that looks better. Same thing, Joe Henning. We were going to turn face at some point, and we will go ahead and cancel that turn because he's now joined the Dynasty. All right, let's go ahead and let's get back to our show here. All right, we'll start with some backstage incidents. A whole bunch of them, apparently. We got one starting with Juice Robinson here. Juice is in fine form for the show, keeping everyone in a great mood with some hilarious Rhodes stories and creating a happy and relaxed environment. Eddie and Arn got something going on. Brought before wrestlers court, accused of making a mess backstage and not cleaning it up, annoying everyone else. The judge, Arn Anderson, found him guilty and sent him to clean it up. Gave a positive impact there. QT Marshall and Brock Anderson, presumably some protege stuff, is good. And QT Marshall and Nick Camarado, also similarly having some protege work there. Nothing to open form with, so we will continue to try to fix some stuff. We'll try to fix this Nick Aldis Zicky Dice situation, I guess. No effect. That is fine. We have a show to run. We have 210 people, so we're going to go ahead and pick best venue. It's still going to be the studios. At some point, we may want to invest in our own, which we had done in a previous save. This only holds 200. So, it might be a situation where we might want to grow it because then we can expand the capacity. It's not a bad idea, but right now I'm totally fine with the sellout to just get everybody in here and hopefully put on a pretty good show. And with that said, I'll catch you guys on the flip. And we are back. And remember when I said that we're going to be shooting for that 60? I'm looking at this card right now, and I don't think we're going to hit there. It's a main event that needs to happen, but I'm not sure if we're actually going to achieve our goal. Overall, though, in terms of story building, I'm happy with this episode. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it and take a look at what we have. So, starting off the show in a pre-show, we have Jamie Hayter versus Kylie Rae. This is just to work the crowd match, just to get the crowd hot, and give Kylie Rae something to do, and give Jamie Hayter something to do. We're doing only an hour and a half show at this point, so it was hard to get in all the shit that we need to get in, and giving them some time on Dark is important here. So, in a Dark match, Kylie Rae loses to Jamie Hayter, gets a Falcon Arrow applied to her here, and gets a pin. Had fantastic heat, had great wrestling. We're continuing to build up Jamie Hayter. And overall, not too bad. 53 for Hayter, 51 for Kylie Rae. Gets us a 45 total. In our first of our Strongbow tournaments, in our Dark match here, we have Jacob Fatu versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. Fatu defeats Smith Jr. in 13 minutes, gets a submission, and moves on in the tournament. I think Fatu now has 5 points, so certainly now in the lead, and definitely within the top contenders. This match gets a 62. And another pre-show tournament match, we have Black Taurus versus Chris Adonis. Again, another Strongbow Memorial Tournament match. Black Taurus quickly dispatches Chris Adonis in 5 minutes. Chris Adonis is pretty much now completely out. I mean, he was already completely out, but he's out of the tournament at this point. Just there to eat pins for people or give someone an unexpected loss. Taurus had a 64, Adonis had a 38. And obviously, we have really good chemistry between Black Taurus and his manager, Ali. We got a gimmick? What? Oh, our ref. Better ref gimmick. Adequate. I'll take better ref adequate. So, if only it was that easy. All right, we start off the show itself with a promo. Very sports entertainment introduction here, where Cody and his new stable, the Dynasty, are in the middle of the ring, and they're talking about how dominant they are. They're talking about how important it is about to prove important legacy. They say all of these guys have important legacies to uphold, and they are all common that, like me, everybody, people in the back, bookers, promoters, family, and especially the fans, always looked down upon them and never felt like they could do what they really could do. And Cody has got a chip on his shoulder here, and he's brought people into the fold that are second generation, third generation stars that also now have a chip. He makes a point to point at Axel Henning, Joe Henning, obviously the son of Kurt Henning, Mr. Perfect, and obviously was Curtis Axel in WWE. Never really a character that ever got any time of prominence. And he says, he's got a major match next week in this tournament. He's not started off strong, but he knows that with this team and with his training and help, that Axel's going to be a dark horse that's going to shoot up to the top of this tournament. and he knows he's going to win. Ace Austin comes out with his crew. Smoking Aces are all back. Matthias Breeze back after concussion. Austin's still upset about his loss. He's still upset about not having the title. He still views himself as the rightful NWA champion, and feels like Cody has stolen the belt and is now hiding behind a team of lackeys in order to protect it. So, he tells him basically that this isn't about them. It's not about building up legacies. It's all about you. It's all about your fear that someone's going to come in here and make you irrelevant. And Cody smirks and, says, if you want, you got a group too. It looks like you're doing exactly what you're claiming I'm to do. So how about this? How about we just put all the teams together? So we got a 4-on-4. Cody promises to teach Ace in the main event a thing or two. And Ace is struggling to go off script, but Cody needed to be scripted, needed to not be scripted. So, Ace kind of floundered a little bit, maybe looked a little bit weaker out there than he should have. Overall, though, we start to show off pretty well. We gain heat for the story, and we get a 63 for our segment. In the pre-tournament promo here, we have Nick Aldis coming out to talk about his opponent, Lance Archer. And he says he's not afraid of tough competitors. Nick Aldis is used to always being second-guessed and underappreciated. He says he spent his entire career being told by other people that he's not good enough, he's not big enough, he's not strong enough. And he knows that every time someone has told him that, he's worked just a little bit harder, and he's always been able to outthink and outwork his opponent. And he is pretty confident that he can do the same to Lance Archer tonight. Lance Archer shows up, grabs the microphone, does the everybody dies kind of, segment. And the two are off to the races. Nick Aldis versus Lance Archer gets a 49. It's not too bad. Lance Archer was the better in-ring performer here. It's considered an exceptional match, though. Nick Aldis does defeat Lance Archer in 12 minutes with a fast roll-up, gets him in an inside cradle, and advances in the tournament here. He then quickly sneaks away after that inside cradle, smirking at Lance Archer and leaving him to fume. Lance Archer takes out that rage on the referee, throwing them up into the air and basically being a menace. This does very well as a 54, and we give Nick Aldis another win. I think that puts him at 5 now. So I think it's Jacob Fatu is at 5, Nick Aldis is at 5. Backstage, this segment doesn't do very well. It's really just being promoted on Marshall and Tim Storm Jr., but they're not doing great. But, we got Tim Storm Jr. as part of the factory, and he's in the factory's private locker room. All the members are there helping him out. He has a match tonight. Aron Solo is the least enthusiastic, let's say, of the three. And clearly is supporting him, but is not very thrilled that Tim Storm is there. QT instead is treating him like a proud papa. He's helping him. He's kind of like rubbing a shoulder a muscle, trying to kind of help him prep after a workout. He goes, "Listen, kid, this is your big solo outing. I've trained you. I've fostered that killer instinct. Now it's time to unleash it. Your opponent tonight is no slouch. He's a veteran with a chip on his shoulder, and he's ready to turn you into dinner. You know what to do. Go out there and make the factory proud." So this segment doesn't do great. Did get the crowd hotter, though. I might need to up QT's mic work, because I think he's more consistent on the mic than the mod makers have him. Like, he should be at, like, just slightly above average, and I think he's at, like, very below average here, so there's a little mod-making bias. So I might tweak that just to give him some slightly more consistent, because he should be basically treated like a manager, and if he's a manager, he should really have a much higher mic skill and charisma, which he certainly does. He's a character. You may not like QT Marshall, but he's he has a lot of attributes that people underappreciate him with, so we might have to tweak him to get a little bit better results out of him. Tim Storm Jr., obviously, we're just trying to build up, so we'll get Tim Storm there eventually. We got a tag match between Colt Cabana and Aaron Stevens versus the New Horsemen. Had great heat, had good wrestling. The rating was a little bit underwhelming, honestly, for what it is. But I guess looking at their in-ring performances, it's not too out of the line. Brock was a little bit off his game here. But we have the New Horsemen defeating Colt Cabana and Aaron Stevens in 11 minutes. Brock Anderson is able to pin Colt Cabana after a spike pile driver. Brock was, of course, the weak link here, and he struggled to keep up with everybody's in-ring performance, but that's why we have him with Pillman. We're trying to help Brock build up a little bit here. We advanced two storylines here. The New Horsemen's rise, of course, is gaining heat as they get a pretty good win, and Colt Cabana and Aaron's story also advancing here. And overall, doing pretty good here. Afterwards, Colt goes to shake Brock's hand. He lost, but he's appreciative of the match, and he doesn't even get that handshake because instead Aaron just attacks him behind, gets him to the ground as he starts stomping on him. Aaron has snapped. Obviously, there's been tension building up between Colt and Aaron for a bit now. Aaron wants to be treated as a respected wrestler. Colt seems content to be sort of a comedy act, and certainly some shenanigans that happened during this match led to Colt losing, and thus also Aaron losing, and finally he is over it. It does very well, 44. We advance our storyline with this, and obviously we have a turn here for Aaron. We'll go ahead and turn him, and turn is a complete success. So Aaron has turned heel, and clearly we're building up a feud between him and Colt Cabana here. And actually, it's not that bad. This is pretty good for what it is. Tim Storm Jr. versus Carlito had great heat, had good wrestling. Tim Storm Jr. defeats Carlito in 14 minutes by submission. We did have a distraction, though, from Nick Camarado on the side to distract him a bit, allowing Tim Storm to kind of regain some composure, and is finding that the factory's, let's say, assets are useful to him. So very good showing here for Tim Storm. This is going to do really good for him, I think. Carlito was a sizable competitor in terms of popularity above him, so I would expect that this probably does Tim Storm Jr. a lot in terms of performance, and as we continue to build him up. And honestly, a 41 isn't that bad. Take into consideration that Carlito had a 43. So honestly, while this isn't like a stellar match, Tim Storm's already improving in his in-ring performance, and we're getting adequate matches out of him. And if we can get him onto tougher competitors, we might have a potential mid-carder to upper mid-carder soon. So very happy with that. Of course, our main event, I expected it to not do very great. Jesus, Jarek. All right. So we have an injury. We have a broken collarbone. Smoking Aces cannot survive without an injury, apparently. It's a superb match, but honestly, the in-ring performance is kind of all over the place, so we expected that. Honestly, 48 is not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's going to certainly not get us the 60. We're going to be lucky to get 55, honestly. Dynasty defeats Smoking Aces. Cody pins Jarek 120 with a crossroads. Jarek 120 and Zicky Dice had a miscommunication, which led to the loss. Clearly showing that Ace's stable, his faction, which he's claimed that Cody is all about, that Cody's faction is all about protecting him. Clearly, Smoking Aces is not the well-oiled machine that Ace Austin claims it to be. Unfortunately, though, we did get a pretty substantial injury here. Broken collarbone's going to put Jarek out of action. Cody looked excellent, got the crowd buzzing. Ace Austin also benefiting from a hot new move, and Cody and Brandon having good chemistry there as well. Very unfortunate for that injury. Afterwards, Ace Austin and Zicky Dice get into a spout while Cody's just watching and smirking. Zicky caused the loss by the miscommunication, and they're arguing and they end up pushing each other, and it seems like there's division now within the Smoking Aces. So some drama going on there, and Austin's struggling to go off script in this segment, and it's not a great one. Yeah, 51. Like I said, I didn't think we were going to get 53. Good news is we increased popularity in all 18 regions that we were showing in, so we're still moving up the ladder, but certainly this is going to probably impact our regional battle, so that's unfortunate. All right, we got some mail here. First of all, we were considered to have an awesome show, and we have an injury. Poor Jarek. He's going to be out in a few weeks. That's fine. We didn't really have major plans for him. But the thing I wanted to see is here. NWA's rising fast. NWA has an expansion in mind. A popular promotion has recently grown to even greater proportions. It's heavily rumored that they are about to splash out and bring in some big new talent to consolidate their position. That's because we have moved up in size to small. So that is very good for us here. We have now moved to small. That's going to give us some opportunity to look at some new broadcasters potentially, maybe some new deals, and ultimately put us in a better standing, which is very exciting. We just have some contracts. Delilah Doom's got 1 month. Ruby Soho moving to a new area. That's fine. Brian Pillman Jr. has a opinion that Roy Knight is kind of clumsy, and I'd cut him loose. Same thing. Black Taurus, Nick Conrado has a lot of charisma. He's got a lot of upside. This might potentially mean that Black Taurus would be willing to put Nick Conrado over at some point, which we might keep that in mind. We had 20,000 viewers for our show, so pretty solid. Of course, we can see here that we are now up to small, so medium is a long way away. So at this point, what we're going to have to do is protect our small size, but that's going to be a pretty big deal for us. That's going to open up potentially some more broadcasters, which is what we're really looking for, and also hopefully ones that would be willing to give us a 2-hour time slot, which would be nice. Mav TV still sort of doesn't look like there's that many new options, but we might have a better time slot. And also, it may allow us to, like I said, change our show. Right now, we're in an hour and a half, and really what we would like is a 2-hour show. Right now, IWTV would let us, so otherwise it would not have allowed us to continue with that. So that may mean that somebody like Mav may at some point be interested in that. Now 2 hours is still more than they're willing to do. So we'll have to decide whether an hour and a half is worth it to get on Mav. Mav, I think, might still be our best shot. It's a commercial cable network, so we're going to get commercial deals with it versus internet subscriptions, kind of a limited broadcaster here. With a lot more competition, everybody's on here, so might be a better option, but we might have to suffer from it. Anyways, that is it for me today. If you guys have not already, please subscribe. We're very close. We actually had a great run in the last couple weeks with some new subscriptions, and we are getting closer and closer to 2,000. And when there is a 2,000 subscriber mark, we're going to be releasing a brand new series on the channel. One is going to be reviving an old one that has been much requested by some people, and it's going to be a little bit different than ones we've done before. I'm very excited to bring it back, and hopefully it'll be better than ever. So if you want to see that, we got to get to 2K. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have clicked that button for notifications. Get that bell going so that you can be notified when there's a new episode. But anyways, that was it for me today. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.